Hi, Shalom from Jerusalem. Here we are on the day 6 of this Israeli war against Hamas. I recently was in an interview and it said Israel at war with Palestine. So number one, Israel is not at war with Palestine because Palestine doesn't exist. Plus, we have no beef, or we have no problem with the civilian population in Gaza. The Arabs, they call themselves Palestinians, but we're not at war with them. We're at war with the terrorist group Hamas. Just wanted to clear that out. We have nothing against them. But here's the latest thing. Israel bombarded the airport in Aleppo and Damascus in Syria. So it's believed that the Iranians were sending a big shipment of weapons to Syria because Iran supports terrorism in Syria, Hezbollah, Gaza, and the Houthis down in Yemen. And so in order to avoid these weapons from reaching into Syria, it's believed that it was Israel, but it is not 100% for sure. There was a lot of sirens in the north, around the Kinneret, the Galilee, and around the close to the Golan Heights and stuff. And then there's a few that were false as well. What is happening also from the side of Hamas, Khaled Mashal, one of the leaders of the terrorist group Hamas, has called for a day of jihad, which is also called the day of rage, on Friday, and that's tomorrow. They often do this, and the Arabs get a little violent. They unite everybody, all the Arabs, against Israel when they say that Israel is about to destroy, or they want to destroy, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is on the Temple Mount. But they've called it a day of rage from all the Arab neighboring countries, as well as all the Arab population within Israel and Judea and Samaria. So we got to pray that not a lot of stuff happens, that this call won't be obeyed, and so that we won't be fighting four fronts, because we have Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, and this would be terrible if they start being violent within the cities of Israel. The other thing is that Hamas has also published, well, they say that they will be publishing the executions of the hostages, which is terrible. We saw that ISIS did that, and there was not much you could do about it, and they put it on video, and it was forwarded and shared hundreds and millions sometimes. So that's a tough situation for Israel, because Israel will be invading Israel. The objective here is to get rid of the terrorist group Hamas once and for all, because we go through this every single year, bombings and killings and all this stuff. But they overdid it this time with the massacre that occurred on the first day of this war, on Saturday morning. And so it's a tough situation, because Israel really wants to recover the hostages. The hostages, it looks like they've taken them to different parts of Gaza, and so it'll be hard to invade, and they have to be very careful that they don't harm the hostages. Israel has been bombarding Gaza for the past 6 days. They've already sent 6,000 bombs, which is equivalent to 4,000 tons, and they've dropped all those 6,000 bombs inside Gaza. We have now a total of 1,300 Israelis killed, sadly, and 245 soldiers from that number, which is pretty tough to swallow, this information. And this is according to the proportion of population. This is almost 30,000 people killed. If you compare it to a nation like the United States, that's like 30,000 people being killed in one day. That's the worst killing, or it's the worst massacre since the Holocaust. We never seen that in before this, and the Holocaust was the last time that we saw such a horrible massacre. So, like I said, this invasion is going to happen. That's the objective of the government of Israel. The soldiers are waiting to invade because they've been waiting to hear or to get the approval from the government. Benjamin Netanyahu just made a unity government with Benny Gantz, who has a lot of experience in warfare. He was the commander of the Israeli army for a few years. So in a way, this is a good thing to have a unity government because you have it from at least more than one side. And when it comes to situations like this, usually Israelis come together and they forget their divisions and their differences, and they become one family to when they have the same goal. And in this case, is to defend the existence of the state of Israel. I believe it's that bad. The other thing that we have lately is the support of the United States. Biden has sent weapons, ships. They've sent F-35s, F-15, and the third one is arriving or must have arrived by now, which is amazing. It's good to be supported by the United States. However, history repeats itself again. We see that the United Kingdom was supporting, or they were playing both sides when the United Kingdom was ruling this area between 1917 and 1948. They would promise things to the Jews and promise things to the Arabs. And Joe Biden, the Democratic president, Joe Biden, I blame Joe Biden for a lot of this mess that's happening in the Middle East. But they just exchanged $6 billion they gave to Iran for 5 hostages. That's $6 billion. They give it to Iran, who is the most, how would you say this? Iran is the one that nobody more than Iran supports terrorism. And Iran supports terrorism in Syria, terrorism in Lebanon through Hezbollah, and they support the terrorist group Hamas in Gaza, and the terrorist group in Hamas in Gaza, which is called the Palestinian Jihad, and they support the Houthis in Yemen. So we know that this surprise attack, unfortunately it was a surprise attack. We don't know where the Israeli Defense Forces were on the morning of the attack. I'm sure that these answers will come later on, but we know because we have several ways to know that Iran was very much involved. But Hamas has come up in video saying, thanking Iran for their financial help as well as the help as far as weapons. So then in the south, Israel has been able to take back control of the 30 plus little towns that are around the Gaza border. And unfortunately, the soldiers went into the village of Be'eri, which is close to the Gaza border, and they found 40 children dead. Some of them were decapitated, and some of them had been shot while they were sleeping, or in their baby chairs, or they were right next to their bicycles, and they found a lot of bodies around the little town. So this is it's a really tough situation. What's going on? We are here in Jerusalem. My wife and I are here in Jerusalem. We're doing fine. This is a pretty safe place, even though we have had some rockets landing around the Jerusalem area, but we're pretty safe here. We have a bomb shelter here. And we also know, let's see what else. We know that Turkey is trying to negotiate the release of some civilians, some of these hostages. We'll see if they're successful. And so we know also that Gaza depends a lot on Israel for water and electricity. But in this case, Israel has withheld electricity and water to go into Gaza. So that's going to be tough for the civilian population in Gaza. And let's see what else is going on. We know that Colombia is sending a humanitarian airplane, actually two of them to rescue, or not rescue, but to bring home the Colombian tourists that were caught here in Israel, because all the airlines stopped working except for El Al. And the Colombian embassy decided to send humanitarian flights to take their citizens back to Colombia. And I also heard that the United States is thinking of doing the same thing. And I think Germany is doing the same thing. Let me see if I am missing anything before I go, because I wrote down all the stuff that I was saying. Oh yeah, okay. So the one thing that I wanted to say is that a lot of these people that were kidnapped or are being held in hostage, a lot of these people come from 36 countries. And there's a chart out there, and I wanted to mention a few countries. Like Canada has one murdered. Mexico has one missing and one murdered. But I heard that there might be like four hostages in Gaza. Probably. That's what a Mexican radio station was asking me what I thought about that. Then we have Spain has 3 murdered and 2 missing. United States has 7 murdered and 7 missing. And Brazil has 2 murdered, 6 missing. Panama has 1 person missing. And the United Kingdom has 2 people murdered and 12 missing. And the list goes on. There's a few countries like Azerbaijan, Poland. Who else do I remember that was on that list? But there's people from all over all over Europe and all over some places. Australia was there, Austria. So the situation is pretty sad. 260 people, young people, were murdered in a music festival for peace, and this is how they ended up in a terrible situation. So we pray, we ask for prayers for this nation that's going through a tough time now. And this was my update. It's pretty hard to mention all these things. I've done my shedding of tears throughout the day as we've been working on the stories throughout the day, reporting on what's going on. So hopefully things will get better and this situation will be resolved soon, and the shedding of blood won't be huge. So pray for the soldiers that are out there. Pray for the civilians on both sides, the innocent people, that they won't die. And thank God He's the Shomer of Israel, the protector of Israel. And thank you so much for listening. Shalom, shalom.